This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Today's video is brought to you by Policy Genius. In just a minute, I'm going to talk about an offer that I really believe will benefit you and I think you should take advantage of. Before I get to that, though, I want to say this. If you find yourself sitting around, holding your breath, waiting for me to stop sounding the alarm about the impending threat to our democracy, the existential threat to our country, you might want to breathe. Holding your breath isn't going to be good because I'm not going to stop talking about it. Over the weekend, the former, and I want to get her title straight, it is the Deputy Assistant to the President and Senior Director for European and Russian Affairs on Donald Trump's National Security Council, sounded the alarm that the insurrection on January 6th, the attempted overthrow of the United States government, the systematic and organized attempt to overturn a free and fair election, and the violence as a result of it was just a dress rehearsal. I'm going to play a clip from Fiona Hill, and then we're going to talk about what Mark Meadows, the former chief of staff of Donald Trump, said on with Laura Ingraham last night. But before I get to that, a word from today's sponsor, Policy Genius. We are already in October, and I'm feeling super behind in my Halloween planning. Specifically, I need to figure out what my costume's going to be. Should I go as a Dracula or a Wolfman? With all kinds of shortages on goods made overseas, I need to get any outfit accessories ordered as soon as possible. If Halloween planning is stressing you out, why not take a break and tackle something easy like life insurance? I recently set myself and my family up using Policy Genius. Since 2014, they have helped more than 30 million people look for insurance. Like me, you could save more than $1,300 a year using Policy Genius to help you find the right policy. So trick yourself over to policygenius.com/Dollemore and treat yourself to life insurance savings. You get it? You see what I did there? In just moments, you'll be able to compare quotes, and Policy Genius will handle the rest fee-free, free of charge. Policy Genius. When it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. Far more than a lone insurance agency, Policy Genius is a marketplace offering all of the top life insurance companies. Their goal is to simplify insurance shopping by informing customers and allowing them to compare and purchase policies all in one place. Policy Genius can help you save more than 50% on life insurance, and they won't charge you any fees. Why not make an easy decision and get what is normally a pain and a stressor out of the way? Go to policygenius.com/Dollemore to get started right now. Policy Genius, again, when it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. Now, back to the important stuff. Should I be a mad scientist or a ninja? It's so hard to decide for Halloween. So you may remember Fiona Hill from the first impeachment fiasco, which Donald Trump was acquitted by all but one Republican, Mitt Romney. She laid out the case for the interference that was taking place on the part of Donald Trump's lackeys, Giuliani and others. They talked about the fact that John Bolton, who's no prize himself, called it he didn't want any part of this drug deal that they were cooking up, if you remember that. She went on Face the Nation this last weekend and equated what took place on January 6th, the insurrection on January 6th, the violent attempted overthrow of the United States government, as a dress rehearsal for things to come. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is the fact that I have been for months screaming about the very real threat to our democracy. That it's not politics. It's not a matter of this side versus that. It's a very real threat that our country may not be able to overcome. We were barely able to get through the Trump presidency with him gassing peaceful protesters in order that he was able to walk across the street and hold up a Bible upside down. Not his Bible, a Bible. So let's watch this clip from Fiona Hill this weekend, and then I want to talk about what took place last night on Laura Ingraham's show. But first, former Trump official, Fiona Hill.
And of course, we've just had the rally that President Trump conducted in Iowa, clearly prepping for his return to the presidency. The presidency says that he's never left because he's saying that the election was stolen away from him, and the whole of the rally, about 85% of his speech at the rally was all about the stealing of the election. I mean, basically perpetrating a lie.
Well, and that's exactly why I've been asking that is the groundwork being laid question, because certainly that seemed to be the message here. In the book Peril, Robert Costa and Bob Woodward wrote, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, at the end of it, is quoted as comparing the January 6th siege of the Capitol to the Great Dress Rehearsal. You're a Russia analyst. You know exactly immediately what that phrase is, which is what Lenin called an uprising that preceded the revolution. I read that and I said, dear God.
Yeah.
I mean, the general is saying that this is a precursor potentially to further violence. I mean, is this overstating things in a historical sense?
He's not overstating it at all, because, I mean, we all saw in real time what happened on January 6th at the Capitol building. And General Milley was absolutely right. Any student of history, but any observer of even American politics over the last decade. I mean, when have we seen something like this before? We haven't. Not in our lifetimes. We've seen episodes, particularly during the civil rights movement and, of course, during Vietnam, where there were protests, but storming the Capitol building of the United States. I mean, this is exactly the thing that you think of historically in revolutions, storming the Bastille during the French Revolution, storming the Winter Palace during the Russian Revolution that General Milley was alluding to. And as he was saying, we've seen many historical episodes where there is violence, people discount it, they think that this is just a passing occurrence. Vice President Pence has been downplaying it. Even though he would have been targeted, he was targeted. They wanted to lynch him. And then, people sweeping this away, saying nothing happened here. And the next time around, you get the real thing where people actually do seize those major buildings. And I said that also in the book, that this was, in effect, a dress rehearsal for something that could be happening near term in 2022, 2024. We've got election cycles here that will heighten the tensions. And once people start talking about violence, once a threshold is crossed, we're in a danger zone.
She is accurate. She lays out the case of what is taking place with an eye on the past, on history. Knowing, listen, human behavior is not all that complicated. That is why cycles repeat themselves. History tends to repeat itself. Maybe a little different flavor. You got chocolate with some nuts in it here, and then it's chocolate with marshmallows a few years down the line. But similar things happen because we are predictable as human beings. She laid out the case, the very real case, the indictment against Donald Trump and the movement that he has sowed. And then last night on Laura Ingraham, Mark Meadows, the former White House chief of staff, dum-dum congressman from North Carolina, he had this to say, completely downplaying what she said. And I think it's notable the clips that they chose to play back to back, giving no context of what she's saying, and then downplaying the very threat that we face. Watch Mark Meadows.
Now, impeachment darling Fiona Hill was out sounding the alarm, Mark, over Trump's political movement over the weekend. Watch.
Unfortunately, I'm seeing the populism on the right as the most threatening at the moment. It's on the right that we're seeing the main threats. It's actors on that right who are also basically calling for violence against fellow Americans, and at all times are talking down the integrity of the election system.
Mark, are you busy talking down the integrity of the election system?
Yeah, not at all. Listen, we need to make sure that it's easy to vote and hard to cheat. But at the same time, Fiona Hill has already shown her colors out there and who she sided with. Listen, when we start to see her get politically active, it's because the Biden administration is hemorrhaging when it comes to independent voters. Why? Because they care about the things that you were just talking about, their jobs and their schools schools and everything in terms of inflation impacting it, and the fact that they make an order and they may not be able to get it for 6 months, whether it's a car or a washing machine, they care about that. And that's why the Biden administration is having a very tough time doing anything other than blaming Trump and trying to take credit for the few things that perhaps were left in place on January 20th.
Mark, finally, your message to Adam Schiff tonight after threatening basically you with criminal prosecution, your response to him.
Listen, I'm going to let the attorneys handle all of that, Laura. I can say this, that when I talk to people, they say, well, we've already been through 2 impeachments. Why did we go through an impeachment of Donald Trump on this very issue, and now we're holding hearings? They don't quite understand that. The American people know that it's politics as usual. Hopefully we'll get beyond that.
3 things very quickly. 1, absolutely, Mark Meadows is talking down the integrity of the election. He works for a man who does it on a daily basis. He works for a man who was in Iowa this weekend. 80% of his speech comprised of whining about the election, claiming he's actually still the president because Joe Biden didn't win. How is that not talking down the integrity of our elections, Laura Ingraham, Mark Meadows? Secondly, it is very telling when Mark Meadows says Fiona Hill showed her true colors with who she sided with. Mark Meadows, I regret to inform you, sir, actually, I'm delighted to inform you that Fiona Hill sided with the United States of America. She sided with the oath that she swore to the United States Constitution. She didn't choose sides, Donald Trump against the world. She chose to follow her integrity, something you lost long ago, good sir. And then finally, that we've been through 2 impeachments. Why do we have to hold hearings about the attempted overthrow of the United States government? Which conservatives want to call a tourist event, a happy family reunion, or as Tucker Carlson calls it, a trespassing event. That's all it was, just trespassing. The reason, for those of you who don't know, who may not know, who may ask that same question, is because the Congress is constitutionally mandated. It is prescribed by the Constitution for them to create laws. They are a lawmaking body. And they need to get to the bottom of what took place in order that it not happen again. They need to get to the bottom of what took place to prevent it from happening again. We're still waiting for action. How many days has it been since Steve Bannon defied the subpoena, the legally issued subpoena? So we'll see if they've got the mettle to actually punish, issue consequence for Steve Bannon and Mark Meadows if you decide not to comply. But that is their job. Impeachment is a political process of removing an official. It is not to correct wrongs relative to policy and to provide funding in an effort to correct the wrongs. 2 completely separate things. And to confuse the issue shows your hand. You don't want to get to the truth because you very likely, allegedly, cover myself, allegedly played a role. That is why documents are being subpoenaed. Emails are being subpoenaed. Your testimony is being commanded before the Congress. I'd love to know what you guys think, though. As always, you can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Follow me on social media. I would absolutely love to connect with you on social media. And if I bring you value, and only if I do, look, I ask for support just about every single video. If you enjoy what I do, but there's somebody else out there who brings you more value, support that person. I'm absolutely certain that they would appreciate it and they deserve it. But if I am your flavor, if my peculiarness resonates with you, then please consider supporting my work. You can click the join button below the video, become a channel member, or head on over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. All those are great ways. Anyway, hope to hear from you. I'll see you soon. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Be genuine. Take care of one another.